Have you ever been asked to describe God in just a few words? I mean, it's a huge challenge, right? Well, today we're going to dive into a chapter from the Quran that does exactly that, in just 4 short verses. It's called Surah Al-Ikhlas, or the Chapter of Sincerity, and it's pretty much considered the very essence of the faith. So let's see how it manages to pack so much meaning into such a tiny space.
Right, so this chapter didn't just appear out of thin air. It was actually a direct divine response to a very pointed question that was put to the Prophet Muhammad. Just imagine being asked to define God on the spot. The stakes were incredibly high, and the answer had to be absolutely crystal clear.
Before we get into the actual question he was asked, just take a second. If someone came up to you and said, "Describe God," what would you even say? It's a massive question. I mean, philosophers and theologians have been debating it for centuries. And that's precisely the challenge that was put before the prophet.
So this was the challenge. The story goes that polytheists in Mecca, and some Jewish tribes as well, they came to him with this. They were basically saying, okay, tell us about this God you keep talking about. What's he made of? Who are his parents? Who are his kids? You see, they were asking for a family tree of physical description, something they could compare him to. And the answer they got was going to change everything.
And that answer, it wasn't some long, complicated philosophical lecture. Nope. It came in the form of 4 powerful, decisive, and beautifully simple verses. Let's break them down, one by one.
The chapter kicks off with a powerful command. Say. This isn't a suggestion, it's a declaration. He is Allah, the One. Now, the Arabic word used here is ahad, and that is so key. It doesn't just mean the number one, like in a sequence. It means the one, utterly unique, absolutely singular, with no partners, no equals. There's just nothing to compare him to.
Okay, the second verse gives us another of God's names, As-Samad. And this term is so rich, so full of meaning, that it really needs its own slide for us to unpack it.
So the term As-Samad is just incredible. It has this powerful dual meaning. On one hand, it means he is perfect and complete in every single way. His knowledge, his power, his mercy, he needs absolutely nothing. But then, on the other hand, he is the one that all of creation, from the smallest atom to the biggest galaxy, turns to for their needs. So you get this amazing idea. He is completely self-sufficient, while everything else is completely, utterly dependent on him.
Now, this third verse is fascinating because it defines God by telling us what he is not. He doesn't have children, and he doesn't have parents. This is such a powerful way to show how different he is from creation. I mean, everything we know has a beginning and origin, and it often creates something new. This verse says God is completely outside of that entire cycle.
And what's so brilliant here is how this one single line directly addresses the specific beliefs that were around at the time. It pushes back against the idea of God having a son, whether that's Jesus in Christianity or Uzair in some Jewish traditions. And it also refutes the pagan-era belief that the angels were God's daughters. So in one clean sweep, this verse establishes a pure, uncompromising monotheism. Just bam.
And the final verse, well, it's the ultimate conclusion. It's the mic drop. There is none equivalent to him. This means there is absolutely nothing that is kufuwan, which means comparable or equal or even on the same level as him. Not in who he is, not in what he's like, not in what he does. It just seals the deal. God is utterly unique and completely incomparable.
So in just 4 verses, you get this incredibly potent definition of God. But the significance of this chapter, it doesn't stop there. The Prophet Muhammad himself really stressed its immense spiritual value.
Get this. He said that reciting this one short chapter carries the same reward as reciting 1/3 of the entire Quran. Just let that sink in for a second. The Quran is a big book, right? And these 4 little verses are considered equal in reward to 1/3 of the whole thing. That is an incredible statement.
So, of course, the logical question pops into your head, right? Wait a minute. If I just recite it 3 times, does that mean I've technically read the whole Quran? Can I just do that in my prayers instead of the other required chapters? Well, the answer is no. And the reason why is actually a really important distinction.
You see, it all comes down to the difference between a reward and a requirement. The scholars used a fantastic analogy to explain this. The Prophet once mentioned that saying a certain phrase of remembrance carries the reward of freeing 4 slaves. But if you are actually required by law to free a slave as a penalty for something, you couldn't just say the phrase instead. See the difference? The reward is huge, but it doesn't fulfill the physical obligation. It's the exact same idea here.
Reciting Surah Al-Ikhlas gives you a massive reward, but it doesn't replace the specific things you're required to do in prayer.
So, beyond all the deep theology and the incredible spiritual rewards, this chapter also created this deep personal connection with the people around the prophet. And that connection is really why it earned its name, the chapter of sincerity.
There's this really well-known story about one of the prophet's companions who used to lead prayers. And in every single part of the prayer, no matter what other chapter he recited, he would always finish with Surah Al-Ikhlas before bowing. Every single time.
So after a while, his friends asked him about it. They said, "Why do you always do that?" And his answer was just so beautifully simple. He said, "Because it is the description of the most merciful, and I love it." Just think about that for a second. His devotion wasn't about trying to get more rewards or showing off. It was just born from a genuine, sincere love for the way this chapter describes God.
When the prophet heard about this man and his reason, his response was just profound. He told them, inform him that Allah loves him for his love of it. I mean, wow. It shows this beautiful two-way street of love. The man's love for God's attributes was met by God's love right back at him. And this wasn't just some chapter for special occasions. It was woven right into the daily life of the prophet himself. He would recite it in the prayers connected to the dawn and the sunset, in the prayer after walking around the Kaaba in Mecca, in his late-night prayers, and he would even recite it every single night before he went to sleep as a kind of protection. So, we've seen how this chapter was a direct answer to a huge challenge, how it carries the spiritual weight of a third of the Quran, and how it inspired this deep personal love. It really just leaves you with this one final thought. How on earth can 4 short verses carry the weight of an entire theology and inspire that kind of profound devotion? Well, maybe the answer is right there in its name. It's just a testament to the incredible power of pure, focused sincerity.